Should you hire a family law lawyer? In this video, I will go through several reasons why I think you should have a family law lawyer by your side helping you navigate these difficult times. So the first reason is just understanding the complexity of family law matters. Family law is one of those areas that intersects with almost every other area of law. So you're looking at, there's taxation issues, for example, issues that tie with estate laws, for example. And unfortunately, in some cases, there are even criminal elements to it. So you're looking at criminal law issues, and all of these play a part. All of these can affect, how your parenting arrangements are designed or how decision making is assigned. It could deal with, things like tax planning, for example, could affect the family's finances and how support and property division should go. So it's a lot to deal with. You're having to deal with all of these areas. So it's not just, we're going through a separation and you're just confined to the Family Law Act. You have to think about all of these other areas while at the same time going through an emotionally difficult time. And usually for the first time, or even if it's, your second, third, fourth time trying to find forever, it's just not, if you're not a lawyer, and you actually, I shouldn't even say that, even if you're a lawyer, actually, probably especially if you're a lawyer, because we all know that lawyers, we make our own worst clients. So you always want to have somebody else that's objective and looking at things in a less emotionally charged way. So number one is you want someone who understands the complexity of family law matters, okay? So reason number two is expertise in family laws in particular. So I talked about how family law, intersects with lots of different areas as well, but you also want to make sure that, you understand the family laws themselves. I'll give you a simple example. A lot of people, I think that, if they don't have an asset in a joint account or in joint names, that it means it belongs to them alone. So I have had clients who have, maybe started the process representing themselves, realizing along the way that, oh no, it's not going well. And it's not going well because they're focusing their arguments in the wrong way. So they're arguing in a way that's not supported by the law. So if you're coming from that perspective, of course, you're not going to be winning any arguments if it's in front of, either a mediator or a court, because you don't know what the family laws are. Now, it doesn't mean your goal is unachievable. You just need a family law lawyer that would help you frame it in a way that, has it within the family law act and rules. So again, speaking of the rules as well, there's areas that, where the Divorce Act is what you need to look at for those that are married. If you're not, you need to be looking at the Family Law Act. If there's kids, there's also other, acts like the CLRA and other things. Even sometimes health, other acts that have when you're having to deal with the health of children and things like that. So you want someone that really has specialized family law knowledge. A lot of times I've seen people, just ask their immigration lawyer, for example, to draft their family law agreement. Now, if it's a lawyer that has a dual expertise or practice area, then that's different. But if you're thinking, well, it's just a separation, we've agreed we're just going to take XYZ, what's the big deal? It doesn't matter what lawyer drafts it. You may be very wrong. You could be shortchanging yourself, or even worse, you could be opening yourself to additional responsibilities in the future that you're not thinking of right now, or you're not factoring in. So I've given you 2 reasons so far. Okay, we're going to keep going. I'm going to give you 7 reasons why I think you should hire a family law lawyer. So we're going to number 3. You want someone that's objective, right? So I started this out by saying you're in a very emotionally charged situation. Even when parties are amicable, it's still difficult. I don't think living a marriage is or any relationship is a decision people just make without consideration. It might appear that way, but I think on some level, one or both parties are going through, a difficult emotional time throughout the process. So we just when you have a lawyer, we make sure that we're advising you because we're not as emotionally charged. That's our role. We care for you. We are compassionate. We understand what you're going through, but our job is to maintain objectivity. We're going to be objective. We're going to look at your matter and we're going to help you get the best results possible, but without all the emotions that could cloud your better judgment. I find that a lot of times, when emotions are high, for example, there's like simple decisions that can be made and things that people would ordinarily agree to in this process. It just everything matters, right? But you want to be careful, if you have a family with children, for example, you want to be mindful of what the stress is doing to them. If you're incurring legal fees, which I strongly advise that it would be the best money you would spend throughout this process, you have to be mindful of that as well. But you would find that your matter, for the most part, would be you would get a better outcome if you're dealing with a family law lawyer. So do get that family law lawyer for nothing, just to make sure that you're making the best and the right decisions for you without it being clouded by, your emotions. So number 4, you want someone on your side to develop a strategic legal plan for you. What you may want, it could be possible, but if it is not grounded in the laws, it doesn't matter. So you might have all of the facts might align, you might have the circumstances might be appropriate, but if you don't frame it properly, if you don't have a proper legal strategy and you just walk in with or without emotions, but if you just walk in without necessarily understanding the laws and understanding, how to present materials, how to present your positions, you may find that you're losing in a situation where you would ordinarily be successful. And I did not use the word win because I don't like to think in terms of losers and winners when it comes to family law matters. You're losing in the sense that you're not achieving the outcome that you want, and you are successful when you get the outcome that you want, especially when it's, the best outcome for the situation in general. But regardless, when you have a family law lawyer, they are on your side. Their role is to make sure that you get the best deal possible, you get the most successful outcome possible under the laws. So if you're saying something that's, potentially impossible, a good lawyer would rein it in and try to let you know what is obtainable within the parameters of the law. And even better yet, when you're not seeing certain things, a number of times that, I catch certain things that clients would ordinarily have left on the table, certain positions they did not understand. There's a lot of misconception. You would hear advice from pretty much everyone that everyone has an opinion and has a friend of a friend that's gone through the same situation. But talking to someone who would design a plan specifically not for you, not for Joe the neighbor, not for whoever else, just specifically for you, could be just what you need to have that successful outcome. So a strategic legal plan is very important, and you want to create that with your family law lawyer. Number 5 is, in some cases you need an advocate for the children, right? So you may have your lawyer being able to be the voice of reason to speak for your children in terms of your children's rights and wishes and things like that. And even in some cases, a family law lawyer could be appointed for the children, if it's appropriate, to be able to bring the children's views and preferences on the table. If there's, the best interest of the children is always the only really consideration when dealing with children and parenting issues. And in some cases, it's important for the children to have their own legal representation and have a voice, because they do have a voice. And it's important for that to be considered when you're dealing with, talking about their best interests, right? That's something that a lawyer can do for you, whether it's a lawyer for yourself or a lawyer that's assigned specifically for the children. It's necessary at times to be able to do that, to give their views and preferences a voice. Number 6 is a family law lawyer will provide you with support and guidance. We know that this is a difficult time. We know that it is challenging. We recognize that we're not therapists, but we know that when we can provide you with clarity on your legal rights and your obligations, a lot of times that's a huge weight we've lifted off your shoulders, right? The number of times that I hear how much better clients that are consulting with me feel, it's very gratifying and it's humbling, and it's not a responsibility that we take easily, because I know that people are coming to us in a very difficult time to get clarity on where to go from here, because it's, yes, now the relationship is over, but then what happens to the children? Where do we live? How do I pay for stuff? So those are all the questions that come to mind, and we recognize that. So we know that when we have that legal strategy, when we explain things to you from an objective perspective, right? When we bring our expertise to bear, we are able to provide very needed support and very needed guidance for you. And then when you speak with, your therapist or support person, you can get the complete emotional support that you need, knowing that we got the legal side. We'll take care of you. We will guide you through the legal process. And that's, what your lawyer's role is. So the last reason, you save a lot of time and stress. Like, really, when a lot of people coming into the family law arena, it's not your everyday job. And even for family law lawyers, they would often hire another person because it's completely different when you're dealing with your own particular situation, right? So you save a lot of time with a lawyer because we're able to listen to you, create a strategy, and it's just, easier to, when you have a road plan to get somewhere. When you're dealing with another side, especially if there's a lawyer on the opposing side, then you're able to speak on a higher level. You're grounding your arguments in the law. So it's not just, yes, I want the house. Your lawyer would help you be able to present it as, I want the house because it's good for the children, because the children go to school 5 minutes away. And if we get rid of the house right now, the children would not be able to go to school easily, and they would be leaving school just a month before the school year is done. And that's not good for stability. So you get the picture, right? So when you frame it like that, you find that you could save hours and hours of argument and stress. And it doesn't mean that, you necessarily will get exactly, what you want. It just means that you will be able to get a more efficient negotiating process, right? And you will almost always come out more successful than if you had gone in on your own. In terms of even just the way the paperwork is drafted, everything again comes down to sort of that strategy. How do you frame your arguments? How do you present it to the court, for example? So if you're in front of a judge, we understand that there's certain things that we don't say. It's not because we don't recognize their importance to you. It's because we know sort of the reaction or the outcome of framing things in a certain way. So we would frame it differently, again, with your goal in mind. So we save you a lot of time. If something is not going to be a viable option under the law in any way, you would get to know that. And wouldn't you rather know now where you stand in terms of things, and then make informed decisions? If you do choose to continue down, a certain path, you don't want to spend a year or two arguing something that has absolutely no grounding. There is so much value in you having a family law lawyer to make sure that your paperwork is drafted properly, that court materials are filed on time. And in the event that you even miss deadlines, we know what to do to get your materials back in front of the court. If you even have had an order issued against you, we know how to change it or how to get it set aside, whatever needs to be done. And we will be able to do it for you in the most timely way possible, shortening the time as much as possible and saving you stress obviously there's a lot of things that are beyond people's control, right? So, if you're in the legal system, for example, or if you're in the court system, I should say, there's court timelines that are not within the control of the lawyers. But if you have a family law lawyer, they might be able to advise you if your case is appropriate for mediation or mediation arbitration, if that's the case. So then rather than waiting years in the court system waiting for a hearing, you can get your matter dealt with in an alternate system or process and still get the same outcome that you want if you were looking for. Because I know a lot of times people would say, well, I don't want to do mediation because I don't trust the other party to listen, or, I don't think they're going to listen to the mediator, or they're going to drag things out, until we remind them that, well, if that's your concern, we could do mediation arbitration. So that allows us to be able to shorten the time. If the other party is just negotiating in bad faith, we can move the process into arbitration. And with arbitration, you cut out a lot of the procedural hurdles with the courts, and you're able to get your decisions quicker. In the court process, there's a lot that happens in the separation/divorce process. So I'm just speaking about things on a high level. But the point is just, it is crucial for you to have a family law lawyer on your side. It will be, a worthwhile investment for you and your family. So I hope you found this video to be informative. Give us a shout if you need any assistance. Our contact information is below. Remember to follow our channel for more informative content.